where's it at? The one about being afraid. That's me. I'm so afraid. What if it happens? It's going to be awful. I could have chosen not to do this, but God told me I better. So I wrote everything. I have to read it from here, otherwise I'll forget everything, because I'm not a speaker. I'm not a public speaker. Priceless. What is the one thing that women in Dayton need to hear? Gina's voice resonated in my head. I prayed and prayed on a topic for the conference and just couldn't think of that one thing until I had a friend text me. She was telling me of some things that were happening in her life, and I told her, don't you know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made? Don't you know that you are more precious than rubies? Don't you know that you are priceless? Just then, as I texted my friend back, there's Gina's voice in my head again, echoed, that's it. That's the one thing that the women of Dayton need to hear. They're priceless, fearfully and wonderfully made, more precious than all the rubies in the world. Then it brought back memories of the way that I feel about my own self-image. Do I feel priceless? Do I feel precious? Meanwhile, I just got back from the For King and Country concert where they sang Priceless. Everything was coming perfectly together, just like God had planned all along. A few hours before texting with my friend, I was going to go to the grocery store with my son, but I had no makeup on, bare skin. My son didn't understand why I wouldn't go to Smith's looking like that. Have you seen me without makeup, Tristan? I told his response was, who cares? So then it dawned upon me, why can't I just go bare skin for the world to see my face? Because there's flaws. How many other women feel that way? I'm sure a lot. Mirror, mirror on the wall, telling those lies, pointing out your flaws. Do you ever do that to yourself? Do you ever look at yourself in the mirror instead of seeing what the Lord sees? When he looks at you, you see nothing but flaws? A wrinkle here, or is it there? Do you step back and look at your body, or do you try to avoid the mirror whenever possible? That's what I do. When I get into the shower, I don't even take a peek at myself because I don't want to be disappointed in the way that my thighs or my mommy tummy look. As a young teen, I heard a lot about diets and the newest weight loss fad. I was also taller than most of the kids my age, and I would look at the girls and wish I would be like petite like them, but I've always been, tall Viking. I tried the dieting fad only to fail because I liked food too much. When I was 16, a show came on television. It was about a young girl who became bulimic. I was thinking, how could anyone do that? It's so gross and disgusting. How could anyone become addicted to that? Well, this girl did, me. After watching the show, I tried it. I thought to myself, I'll only make myself binge and purge just this once, just to see what it would be like. Well, that just this once opened up Pandora's box. It wasn't about purging the food, it was a feeling of freedom. Freedom to eat all the calories that I wanted and not gain a pound from it. It's such an addicting behavior for girls because a lot of times your life is out of control, and this is the one thing that you can control, and it felt pretty good. I'm now 40 years old, and I can honestly say that it's still a battle for me, but this time I realize that I have Christ on my side. Before Christ, I didn't know my worth. I didn't know that someone could love me that much that he would be willing to die for me. I didn't know that someone thought that I was priceless, beautiful, more precious than all the rubies. Even now, though I walk with him, I still have that struggle because I'm human and I have an addiction. I will never be able to look at a plate of food and not think about the calories. I will never be able to look at the desserts, that lovely dessert table out there. I hate desserts, though. And think that I can just binge on them now and purge later. After my daughter, Hannah's father, and I broke up, again I blamed the way I looked instead of what was inside. I turned to anorexia. I thought that if I was thin enough that he would love me. I got down to 118 pounds and still thought I was fat. Looking back at pictures now, I was nothing but skin and bones. But that's what this addiction does to you. It alters the way that you look at yourself. It is almost like looking at one of those mirrors at a carnival, It makes you think that you are really bigger than you are. Little did I know that at the time that the Lord would place my husband, Danny, in my life. Danny is the one who God uses to make me feel beautiful every day, even if I have my pajamas on. Like, I don't get dressed till like 3 or 4. So I've got my sweats on and my sumo mom bun on and no makeup, and he still pats me on the butt sometimes. Well, a lot he does, but I don't embarrass him out there. So I've always struggled with my daddy issues. When I was about 2 years old, at the request of my mom, my biological father signed me over to my mom's husband. My biological father wasn't in my life that much, and my new dad was, so he signed me over. I didn't know the difference or what it meant till I was older. I used to ask myself, just like Gina, how could anyone sign over their 2-year-old child? Did he not love me? Was I not good enough? It crushed my spirit. My dad who adopted me loved me, no doubt, but I was never one of those like daddy's girls like I saw so many other girls were. When I came to know the Lord around 30, it was right here in this church at a retreat. I never went to church growing up, so I knew nothing of him or his love for me. My grandfather came to visit because he was dying of cancer and he wanted to say goodbye to us. It boggled my mind that he was not afraid of death. He told me that Jesus would either heal him or take him home. So I would cry late at night when he was there because I just didn't understand why this man wasn't afraid. Like, he had like weeks to live, and Jesus will take me home or he'll heal me. So before he left, he made me promise him 2 things. One, that I would marry Danny, because we weren't married yet. I've been with him for almost 20 years, and we just celebrated our 9-year anniversary. And number 2, that I would take my kids to Sunday school. Well, years passed, like 5 years passed, and I was finally able to be a stay-at-home mom with my 4 kids. My youngest was a newborn, and I decided that since I don't have to work anymore, I would fulfill my grandfather's wishes of taking the kids to Sunday school. I thought it would be good for them. And so I talked with my Frey Amber. Frey means friend, if you guys don't know that. Frey. And we decided to check out Calvary Chapel. Little did I know that keeping my promise to my grandpa and doing what was good for my kids would change my life. About 5 months after we started attending, there was a women's conference. It was there that I realized how much the Lord loved me, that he was my Abba Daddy. I came home crying because I felt so much love that I didn't think I had ever felt before from a father figure. He loved me for me, flaws and all. It was then that I truly believed that I accepted him into my heart. Last March, I was able to go visit my biological father, the one that signed me over, and say goodbye to him as he was dying from cirrhosis, which is a chronic disease of the liver. I was able to tell him that I forgave him and that I loved him. It was then that I realized he loved me, because even though he couldn't talk, when I was leaving that room, he had this tear dripping down his cheek. I told him that Jesus loved him too and was waiting for him. As I said that to him, he sat straight up in bed with his arms out, almost as if he was reaching towards heaven. It was then that I knew that Jesus was going to take him home. The next day, as I was sitting watching over my father with my aunt, I was looking at every little detail about him. I was touching his face and his hair, because as a little girl, I never had the opportunity to do that. I never had the opportunity to examine his face. I even looked at his feet. I pulled his blanket off and I looked at his feet. One thing that I noticed was that while he was laying there on his deathbed, not one of us there said, "Wow, he had amazing legs, no fat at all." I begin to think of myself when I am on my deathbed. Will people take a look at me and say, "Gee, Vanessa had a great figure"? Or will they say, "Vanessa was a nice person. She made me feel this way or that"? I'd much rather they remember me for the way that I made them feel than the way I looked. Although I accepted Christ, I would still see nothing but flaws when I looked in the mirror. I didn't see me how he sees me, priceless and beautiful. I still didn't forget the pain of wanting to look like those supermodels we see on the TV and in the magazines with their airbrushed hips and slender thighs. I figured once I accepted him that would all go away. I'm a new creation in him. It didn't go away. I still felt less than perfect. I would still see the mom pooch and the cellulite in my thighs. Now, I don't want anyone to take my thoughts about myself wrong. I do not look at other women and see their flaws. I only see mine. I still get the temptation to binge and purge, and I still compare myself to other women, but the difference now is Christ. He doesn't look at me and think, boy, I messed up on that one. He does not see my flaws. I think he looks at me and he sees himself. He sees his beauty in me. He sees me dressed in white, which is his righteousness in me. He sees me as a rose in bloom, not fully bloomed, but blooming into the woman that he wants me to become. He sees me as priceless. The enemy tells me these lies that I'm not good enough or thin enough or pretty enough, but Christ tells me the truth, that I am precious, I am irreplaceable, unmistakable, incomparable, more than all the money or the diamonds and the pearls. Although I wish I could say that I'm completely free of this, I'm a woman with an addiction, and I still struggle with insecurities every day. It will be a battle that I fight while in this body, but I can tell you one thing, that every day it gets easier. I never in a million billion years thought that I would be standing here in front of all you beautiful women telling my story of addiction. When Gina asked me to speak, my flesh said, no way. But after praying and praying on it, the Lord told me that even if I could just help one woman in the room, it will be worth it. But maybe I'm that woman. I was just thinking that. That's not in my notes. But maybe it's helping me. Maybe. So here I am, vulnerable and broken, standing here to tell you that you are all amazing, beautiful, and wonderful. You, like me, are priceless. So in closing, I'm going to ask you to do a little exercise while we listen to a couple of songs that express the truth of my story. So you're going to turn to this, and that's not me, but I like it. Okay? On one column, you're going to title it, Messages I Believe About Myself. In the other column, you're going to title it, okay, Messages I Believe About Myself. Oh. Okay, the other column said, Messages Jesus Says About Me. And then let the words of the songs and what I have shared with you help guide you while you write. Hit it, Norm.
Foolish heart, looks like we're here again. Same old game of plastic smile. Don't let anybody in. Hiding my heartache. Will this glass house break? How much will they take before I'm empty? Do I let it show? Does anybody know? But you see the real me, hiding in my skin, broken from within, unveiled me.
Thank you. I was scared.
Completely, I'm loosening my grasp. There's no need to mask my frailty, 'cause you see the real me. Ain't it all? Life is behind a mask. Self-inflicted circus clown. I'm tired of the song and dance. Living a charade. Always on parade. What inside my head. I never thought that I'd be someone who could be misled. I wanted the mirror show me something I could not see. I needed explanations for expectations I could never reach. I know I'm not the only one who's ever cried for help, and Jesus did for me what I could not do myself. He changed my life by changing my mind. He healed all that was broken inside. I'm loving what I can see with His Spirit alive in me. I'm finding beauty for the first time, looking through my Father's eyes. Looking through my Father's eyes. From what I see, it looks like you don't like yourself too much. When I hear you talk, it sounds like you just feel like giving up. I know it's hard to see through what this world will tell you, 'cause misconceptions or false reflections will never be the truth. Just know you're not the only one who's ever cried for help. Jesus loves you in ways that you cannot love yourself. He changed my life by changing my mind. He healed all that was broken inside. I'm loving what I can see with His Spirit alive in me. I'm finding beauty for the first time,
Yeah, she's coming here in December too, I think. Yeah, she had an eating disorder too. And so did Natalie Grant. Yeah. So look over your lists. It's time to confess the lies that you've been clinging to and replace them with the truth of Jesus. It's up to you. Jesus views you as a priceless treasure more precious than rubies. Let me close this session by praying Peter's prayer from 1 Peter 5 over us. May the God of all grace, who called us to eternal glory in Christ Jesus, after we have suffered a little while believing all those lies, himself restore us and make us strong, firm, and steadfast in the truth of the beauty he sees in us. To him be the power and glory forever and ever. Amen.